सो अभी आप लोगों के जो टॉपिक चल रहे हैं पीडियाट्रिक्स में बेसिकली अडोलसेंट हेल्थ रिलेटेड प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, है ना। अपने ने पिछली क्लास भी डिस्कस करी थी रिलेटेड टू देयर सेक्सुअलिटी बिहेवियर डिसऑर्डर्स, है ना। आज अपन बात करेंगे अबाउट द ओबेसिटी इन द चिल्ड्रन। आवाज आ रही है मेरी सब? ठीक। सो बेसिकली व्हाट इज ओबेसिटी? इट्स बेसिकली एक्सेसिव स्टोरेज ऑफ द एनर्जी एज फैट रिलेटेड टू लीन बॉडी मास। ठीक है, बॉडी फैट एक्सप्रेस एज ए परसेंटेज ऑफ बॉडी वेट, परसेंटेज ऑफ बॉडी फैट, द मोस्ट रिलेवेंट मेजरमेंट. So how the obesity is measured? Its direct measurement is through the weight in and out of the water, dual energy X-ray absorptiometry DXA, USG, CT, MRI are the findings related to the obesity. So fat deposition in various tissues we are seeing, and bioelectrical impedance we are looking. Disadvantages of the direct measurement are its complex nature, high cost and difficult methodology. Other measures, skin fold thickness we are taking. So for the central obesities we are taking subscapular, suprailiac and mid abdominal skin fold thickness, and for the peripheral we are taking as biceps and triceps skin fold thickness. So triceps skin fold thickness is the most commonly used method. For peripheral obesities we are taking more than 85th centile of the skin fold thickness considered as obesity, and more than 95th centile as super obesity. The methodological problem hinders use of epidemiological purpose. Weight for height also we are taking. So based on NCHA standards, obesity is considered as 90th percentile or 120% of the median, and super obesity as 95th centile. If you are taking a chart of weight for height, if it comes under 90th centile then it's obesity, and more than 95th or more centile it's super obesity. It may misclassify individuals with larger body frames or excessive muscle mass. Means the persons who are having excessive muscle mass will also be considered as super fat, but actually they are not having fat because of excessive muscle mass. They are coming under more weight for height. So age specific growth charts if we are taking, especially in pediatrics age group, they are better than the single point reading. Now every one of you are aware about body mass index. Sometimes questions are also coming, short questions are also coming, and for pre-PG purpose also it's very important topic. So everyone must be aware about the body mass index. So what is body mass index? It is defined as weight in kg upon height in meter square. So most robust and convenient measure of the obesity in the adults. Direct correlation with the risk for medical complications. So all of you should be aware about these charts. These are basically CDC charts which are used from 2 to 20 years. So from boys it is different, for girls it is different. So 50th centile we are considering as average. As we have discussed, more than 90th centile is obesity, and more than 95th centile is super obesity. Now BMI classifications we are taking for adults. Underweight, if weight is BMI is less than 18.5, ideal is 18.5 to 24.9, and pre-obese is 25 to 29.9. Then obesity classification, class 1, 2, 3, 30 to 34.9, 35 to 39.9, and more than 40 BMI. Now BMI in children changes with growth. In USA 85th centile they are taking as overweight and 95th centile as obesity. It's not acceptable. Why? Because it's largely arbitrary and based on the data on the USA. So BMI recommendations, adult cutoff point linked to BMI centile in the children, cutoff point determines using values from 6 countries: USA, Netherlands, Brazil, Hong Kong, Singapore, and Great Britain. So what's drawback? Largely based on the data from the developed countries, undernutrition increases the value of BMI without increase in the fat stages of the genital maturation, confounding interpretation. So ultimately, what is the conclusion? BMI used as a screening tool to identify the obesity. Overweight, not obese, means if patient is having high BMI and low skin fold thickness, means they are overweight but not obese. Skin fold thickness is also we have taken an criteria to measure the obesity. If patient is obese but not overweight, high skin fold thickness will be there, but low BMI will be there. Overweight and obese, high BMI and high skin fold thickness. Now, is obesity a public health problem? Yes, definitely. In United States, children's more than 25% of populations are obese. In adults, 39% are obese. Worldwide epidemics now involve the affluent section of the developing countries also. In India, this data is around 7.5 to 10%. Increased by 50% from 1973 to 1994. So, very rapidly increasing. Doubling of obesity prevalence by BMI between 1963 to 1991. So, this data is showing that obesity is now becoming a upcoming problem for the health sector in pediatric as well as the adult age group. So, this is just chart they are showing. So, does an obese child grow into a obese adult? Tracking occurs throughout the life. 10 to 20% of the obese infant become obese adult, and around 40% of the obese children are going to become an obese adult. And if we are taking this is in adolescents, around 60 to 80% of obese adolescents are going to become an obese adult. So very high risk. As the age increases, if obesity is persisting, so high risk of going to become an obese adult. Now we are going to consider about what are the types of the obesity. Androidal obesity or central obesity, that fat accumulates in the upper segment. It's basically apple shaped distribution, more likely to develop related disorders like non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, hypertension. Here the waist hip ratio is more than 0.8. So this is the picture which is showing the obesity. Now gynecoid obesity, it's more subcutaneous fats accumulates over the thigh and the lower segment, basically pear shaped, and complications are fewer. Now causes of obesity we will consider endogenous causes. Endogenous causes comprises of the genetic and the endocrinal causes which are responsible for less than 10% of the cases, but should be ruled out before treating as a exogenous obesities. So endogenous causes endocrinal and genetic. Endocrinal, different disorders: hypothyroidism, hyperinsulinemia, Cushing syndrome, pseudo hyperparathyroidism, and acquired hypothalamic syndromes. And genetic, certain syndromes like Prader-Willi syndrome, Kaplan-Cohen, Lauren-Moon-Biddle syndrome. So if we will compare the exogenous obesity and the endogenous obesities, the endogenous are most likely, the familial history will be uncommon. They will be having short height, low IQ, retarded bone age, and physical defects are common. If we are coming for the exogenous obesities, family history we will get tall child, normal IQ, normal bone age, and normal physical examinations. For exogenous obesity, genetic, environmental, dietary, neurochemical, and the malnutrition are the common causes. Genetic causes, strong correlation between the body weight of the child and the biological parents. Resting energy expenditure genetically determined, which influences the obesity, means BMR. The child is going to be having low BMR, so high risk. If they are consuming less energy also, even after that they are predom for the obesity. A large number of the genes are showing to be involved. Discovery of the leptin big bang in the field of the obesity. So leptin gene is considered to be involved in obesity etiology. So there are certain genes, OB genes, which is product of the leptin, reduces the appetite and increases the metabolic rate, increase fat oxidation. Mutation result in decreased leptin output, leading to obesity. DB genes, it regulates the leptin binding sites, establish set points. Fat genes produces carboxypeptidase, causes misprocessing of insulin compete with leptin binding. So these are certain genes. Tube genes, unknown product, possibly mitochondrial uncoupling proteins. Agouti gene produce agouti signaling protein, suppressing appetite during weight gain. Now, environmental factors in the first year, duration of the feeding, age of the introduction of the solid food is very important. In second year, the maternal weights reflects the maternal influence on the child's intake and the expenditure. If child is, sometimes the parents are very anxious that their child is not feeding well or eating well, so they are enthusiastically, vigorously, especially if the child is precious child, then they are sometimes bottle feeders, they are overfeeding the child. They are saying that child is having recurrent vomiting, but that is not because child is having any disease. They are basically overfeeded the child. So vigorous feeding is very important factor. Sedentary lifestyles, TV viewing, which is going to lower the metabolic rate, increases the caloric intake during the viewing, and food advertisement and the messages. So much of Maggi and other products they are showing on the TVs, for that the childs are attracting and consuming more and more energy intake, but less physical activity they are showing. Dietary factors, reduces the meal frequency, and gorging promotes the weight gain in contrast to nibbling. High calorie dense food they are consuming nowadays. Neurochemical causes, feeding and appetite causes regulated imbalance may leads to obesity. Factors including insulin, neuropeptide Y, dopamine and other non-amine, serotonin, and gut hormones like CCK. So these are neurochemical causes. Malnutrition. Malnutrition will cover undernutrition as well as the obesity. If any question anybody will ask you what is malnutrition, weight not within the range. If it is less also, that is also malnutrition, one type of malnutrition, and we can say that is as a undernutrition also. But weight is more also, that is also malnutrition. Means nutrition is not adequate. Either it is in excess point or it is in the lower side. So prenatal malnutrition predisposed to obesity, death famine of the second WW due to altered development of the hypothalamus and sympathetic system. Basically hormonal imbalance will leads to malnutrition. Undernutrition in later life, tendency to accumulate the fat more rapidly and intra-abdominally. So this is vicious cycle, as it is showing. Child is having less sedentary, a healthy child which is having sedentary lifestyles, having looking more televisions, video games, eating high fat diets leads to mild obesity. So he is going to be having restricting his activity because he is having exertions. So it will be a vicious cycle, leads to moderate and severe obese. So as we have discussed, if a severe an obese adolescent, the risk of becoming an obese adult is more. It is around 60 to 80%. Means more than 50% of obese adolescents are going to become an obese adult. So if they are converting in obese adult, the risk of other medical complications are more. So complications, we will consider medical complications, orthopedic, dermatological, psychosocial and endocrinological complications. So medical complications, they are more prone for the hypertension, hyperlipidemia, coronary heart disease, cholelithiasis and steatohepatitis, respiratory infections, obesity, hypoventilation syndrome and obstructive sleep apnea. So these are basically medical complications. If we are considering for the orthopedic complications, in children, slipped femoral epiphysis, leg cave Perthes disease, genu valgum; in adolescents, Blount's disease and slipped femoral epiphysis. Sometimes in pre-PG also questions are coming from only from this slide. They will give you a history that an adolescent child is having obese, this, what can be the cause. So everything they will be kept, slipped femoral, genu valgum, Perthes disease, but the answer will be Blount's disease or slipped tibial vera because it is in adolescent age group. Dermatological complications, they are prone for the feet rashes, intertrigo, monilian dermatitis, stria, acanthosis nigricans. Psychosocially, they are more serious consequences. Why? Because they are having lower self images, heightened self consciousness, and impaired social functioning. Negative stereotypic attitude by the peer group and even trained physicians. Less likely to be having successful in life. Why? Because their motivation is less. They are giving negative feedback more. So better to give them motivations, increase their physical activity, decreasing their decrease their sedentary lifestyle, and give them positive comments rather than giving them negative comments, because it will produce them about the negative self image and their motivation is necessary to boost up their morals. Endocrinal complications, hyperinsulinemia with insulin resistance will lead to overt diabetes, stimulate lipogenesis and maintain the obesity, hyperplasia and hypertrophy of the fat cells. So this is just an view. Decreased sex hormone binding globule, increased free sex hormones leads to early puberty and advanced skeleton age, increased urinary clearance of the cortisol, so leads to compensatory increase in ACTH, increased adrenal sex steroid and early adrenarche in the males. So what are the office evaluation? How you will evaluate if a child is coming in OPD with the obesity? Objective is to differentiate between the organic causes and the idiopathic obesity, and early detection of the complications. You have to go with the thorough history, physical examination and laboratory evaluation. So history, you have to take how long the child is having this obesity problems, previous attempts, how many attempts are there to reduce their weight, daily caloric intake and expenditure you have to calculate, family history, and what are the attitudes and the practices in the family, what is the dietary habits, what they are taking in their diet, weight status of the parents and the siblings, meal pattern and recreation habits, family history of the any heart diseases, cancer, diabetes, hypertension, hyperlipidemia and thyroid disorders, any history of the complications, and psychosocial history and evaluation is also must. Physical evaluation, assessment of the growth of the child is must, distribution of the fat, which type of obesity it is, whether it is gynecoid or android, SMR staging is must, blood pressure and other clinical features to rule out the organic causes. Laboratory evaluation, you have to rule out the endocrinal and other causes. So evaluation of the pituitary, adrenal and thyroid hormone, blood glucose and insulin level, plasma lipid level, serum cholesterol in all patients more than 2 years, Management, we have to decide our goal of the treatment, dietary management, exercises, behavior modification, other treatment, and treatment of the complications if any present. So what is our goal? We have to achieve a lifelong weight control, avoid weight cycling as we have discussed, maintaining normal growth, metabolically safe, minimal hunger, preserve lean body mass, and no psychological problem should be there. So this is just an algorithm. If a child of 2 to 7 years come with BMI of 95th to 94th centile, then you have to just maintain the weight. If BMI more than 95th with complications, if not there, then only weight maintenance. If complications are there, then you have to lose the weight. More than 7 years of child, BMI of 85th to 94th centile, if complications are there, you have to definitely weight the lose. No complications, weight maintenance only. If BMI is more than 95th centile in age of 7 year or more, you have to definitely reduce the weight. So very good chart. It is showing how you have to proceed for a child having obesity or BMI on the basis of the BMI. Goal of the treatment, in most of the children, these goals can be attained by just maintaining the weight. In more obese children, achieve a weight loss of 0.5 kg per week. It's not that you have to lose the weight vigorously. You have to slowly reduce the weight, and our goal is should be lose the weight by 0.5 kg or 500 milligram per week. Dietary management, diet must be provided all essential nutrients. Calculate the caloric intake on the principle of 0.5 kg of weight loss. For 0.5 kg of weight loss, you have to calorie deficit of 3500 kilocalorie. Limit the duration of the bottle feeding in infants. Replaces the fat with complex carbohydrate and increase the fibers. So how much fiber should be taken? So formula is there, age plus 5 to 10 gram per day. Special diets, balance hypocaloric diet. So provide 30 to 40% less than the usual intake with the lower fat. Fat should be around 25 to 30%. More complex carbohydrate, which should be around 50 to 55%, and sufficient proteins. Protein should be 20 to 25%. Ensure normal growth with weight loss of up to 0.5 kilogram per week. Other special diet, restrictive protein sparing modified fast diet, provides only 600 to 800 kilocalorie per day, which is having around 1.5 to 2 gram per kg protein, 2 liter of water, 2 to 3 cups of low starch vegetable. Achieve faster weight loss. So side effect will be more with these diets, restrictive protein sparing modified fast diet. What are the side effects? Orthostatic hypotension will be occur, arrhythmia, and the hair loss will be occur. Now exercise, other than the diet, you have to focus on exercise also. Preserve the lean body mass, prevents the reduction in the BMR associated with weight loss, improvement in the moods, promotes a more active lifestyle in the adulthood. Long-term complications, poor with the vigorous exercises. Better option is to decrease inactivity, not vigorous exercises. You have to just decrease the inactivity. Less time on the TV or computers, using stairs in place of elevators, walking to perform daily activity, and playing outdoor games. Behavior modification, it is also a part of our goal for the treatment of an obese child. So what behavior modification needed? Most of the times it is the most time consuming and most difficult. Why? So technique should be self monitoring, nutritional education, goal setting, stimulate control procedure, and social reinforcement. So these should be the techniques. Other treatment, anti-obesity drugs like pheneramine or fenfluramine, use only in limited cases of super obesity, super obese adolescents. Surgery, no definitive role. Leptin therapy, most exciting treatment modality with the ongoing adult human trial. So it's only under trial only. Complications of treatment, gallbladder diseases in case of rapid weight loss. That's why we are saying should not go with the rapid weight loss. Slowing of the linear body growth, loss of the lean body mass, eating disorders, emotional and the psychological problems. So last one will be the prevention of the obesity. So prevention is better than the cure. So we should be prevent the obesity. How we can prevent? Treating difficulties, so prevention is better. Parent taught to respect the child's appetite. Food not to be used for the comfort or reward. Avoid sugared food and encourage fiber intake. Restricted sedentary activity like TV viewing. Promote healthy lifestyle by acting as a role model.